shields a recharge. Reloading.
Decision making is one of the top 3 contributing factors towards improving in Apex Legends. So today I want to go over 3 crucial decision making tips that can help many of you make smarter plays. So let's get into it. Hey, what's happening, Champion Squad? Welcome your beautiful faces back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering 3 tips to help improve your decision making. From knowing how to capitalize on openings, not forcing a fight, and learning to let enemies overshoot will have you on your way to becoming a much better player. So with that said, let's jump into the first tip I want to cover, which is to not force a fight. One of the biggest mistakes players tend to make is trying to rush the gunfight. While yes, you definitely want to eliminate a squad as quick and clean as possible, but you also need to understand how and why some gunfights need to be slowed down to a more passive playstyle. When enemies have the advantage in positioning, you need to work to obtain equal or better positioning while closing the gap in the gunfight. Best way to do this is by utilizing nearby cover while working your way into the fight. Trying to push directly forward while multiple enemies have a line of sight on you is what most times will get you knocked or extremely weak. So this is when you want to take things one step at a time while constantly advancing your positioning. Let's take a look at a quick example. Hey beautiful people, welcome to the first example where we are going to be covering not forcing a fight but still come out on top when the odds aren't in your favor. So in this game, it is a duos game. We are at the old sorting factory building. As soon as that trolley gets by, I get some beautiful shots off Pathfinder, so I'm going to immediately push that since I got the better of the exchange, have the better armor, but this Pathfinder hits the most insane shots with the Sentinel there. So I'm going to have to reposition, then push again. That's an unexpected push, be able to knock him. And here's the exact point where I want you guys to pay attention to not force a fight. So I picked up the first knock, and he does have a teammate. I am pretty low in health here, so what I'm going to do is create a slight bit of distance, heal up 2 cells. That way I'm a little bit more healthier. And now I have 2 options here. I can either push the guy that just got rezzed to the right side, which would be a closer push and get into the action earlier, or I can move over towards my teammate's side, play my distance, and get better exchanges at range, so that way there's more room for error. So as soon as I reposition, I'm immediately looking at the angles they're going to be peeking from because they know for a fact that I'm going to be pushing or sending out the damage. Most people in this situation would push the right side and close that fight earlier instead of creating the distance like I made here, but it is better and a more safer option when you do this, when you create the distance and send out the damage. So we just went over how to effectively not force a gunfight. Now let's jump into the second tip I have for you, which is to capitalize on openings. Since Apex is a push-pull game, you have to know the best moments to push and take advantage of an opening. Yes, you, the beautiful face watching this video right now, you are the one in charge of creating an opening for yourself by getting a better exchange in a gunfight. After you deal a good amount of damage to the point where enemies have to take a double heal, or perhaps you picked up a knock, this is the time you have to take ownership in the gunfight. You can't be afraid to capitalize on openings. Get aggressive, find some cover, and dish out even more damage. Confidence is going to be key in these situations and will improve through repetition. Let's take a look at another example. Alrighty, beautiful people, welcome back to the second example where we are going to be touching on capitalizing on openings. And now in this game, it's going to be a squad game where we don't have a teammate, so it is a 2v3 situation. And I managed to come up on a nice little third party here. So now I have a 2-man team in front of me. I already took out their teammate. There's some beautiful exchanges on that first opponent there. Notice how I stutter stepped that. Right before I started shooting, I made him miss some initial damage. That way he's going to have to reload, not get the damage off he wants to. Peek from some different angles and managed to pick up the knock from the first guy I had low, and I also actually do some decent damage off of Wraith as well. So in this situation, where me and Wraith were about the same HP, but I decided to make the aggressive push and capitalize on this opening. It's the last one on their team. Now the reason this push worked out so much in my favor is because the Wraith knew she got some decent damage off of me. She's not going to expect me grappling to her and pushing her. She's probably expecting me to take a bat, heal up, then push. So I essentially affected with the common timing in Apex when people are pushing, when they're healing, and when you can disrupt that, you're going to catch some enemies off guard and you're going to have a fantastic time doing it. Now that we've discussed how to not force a fight and take advantage of an opening, it's time to get into the third and final tip I have for you, which is learning to let enemies overshoot. Arguably one of the best tips, yet highly underlooked because of not only its mental advantage, but in-game as well. When an enemy starts to miss a good amount of shots on you, their confidence levels will start to lower, making them slightly more nervous. On top of which, they'll also be at an in-game deficit since they have to reload sooner without putting out the damage they need. So the next time you find yourself with some type of cover that you can use to swing in and out of shots whenever you want, don't be afraid to pause behind cover to relieve some initial shots, then re-peek afterwards. Effectively doing this will help you not only avoid some damage, but can really swing a gunfight in your favor with ease. Let's take a look at our final example. Alright, beautiful faces, we finally made it to the last example of the day, which we are going to be touching on letting enemies overshoot. And I do have another brilliant example of this on how effective it can be when you properly perform it. So we're on board with another duos game. We do have a teammate this time. And you already know we're at the motherland, Fragment City, and managed to find a squad down low by the res beacon. So that's going to be, number one, good in our favor because we do have the positioning on them. But after dealing some good damage, pushed up even more, and we finally pick up that first knock on Valk. So it's going to be a 1v1 situation here. Definitely going to push this guy immediately since I'm full health, and I know I did some prior damage to him, so he's not going to be full 200 HP. But notice how this plays out. He's going to be wide in the open, and I do have some cover that I can work with. This is a prime example when you should let enemies overshoot. When they're out in the open, they have no cover, and they're pre-aiming you. What I'm going to do here is actually wait till he shoots at me so I know which decoy he's going to be, and then take my cover and sit there for just maybe 1-2 seconds. That's all the difference. Then I get to re-peek when I want, and guess what? He's going to have to reload very shortly. So it's just a win-win situation in my favor there. And this works even better when it comes to close range gunfights and sort of close quarter fighting. Make sure you put this in your game plan. Again, take all of these one step at a time so you don't overwhelm yourself. Thank you guys for spending a couple minutes every day with me. If you enjoyed today's video, like rating is always appreciated. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, join the champion squad for some more awesome content, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, this was Sultan D, signing off. Peace.